live videos. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Again, the video streaming is not coming. Huh? Coming? Not coming. You're able to see. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Okay, so we are reading 10:11 today. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. This verse is now explaining, through this verse, the Lord is now explaining the supreme mercy which is available through the path of Bhakti Yoga. Because of the Lord's special mercy and because of the Lord's intense personal involvement, the path of Sharanagati or Bhakti Yoga becomes the easiest and the most sublime process of yoga. So therefore, if we compare Bhakti Yoga with other yoga systems, we can see that now what is the characteristic difference between Bhakti Yoga and the other yoga systems? The characteristic difference is that in Bhakti, one thing leads to everything. Whereas in other yoga systems, everything may lead to something at best, and if some discrepancy arises, everything may lead to nothing. Now, this is amazing. This is supremely amazing. So we can see other yoga systems, because most of the other yoga systems or most of the other yoga systems, be it Jnana Yoga or be it Ashtanga Yoga, the devotee, the yogi, he is himself etching out the path. And therefore, even if he tries his best, he tries out everything, it will at best lead to something. And therefore, the process is going to be arduous, the process is going to be time-taking. The process is going to, one has to persevere for such a long period of time. How long? There's no end to that. Oceanic. And if some slight discrepancy arises, then it is nothing. We have seen examples in the Puranas of sages, or yogis, who had achieved a good amount of siddhis, but a slight discrepancy, a slight ignition of false pride or anger or lust, slight ignition, which may have lasted even temporarily, or which may have lasted for a short period of time, but even that was enough to reduce their everything to nothing. So examples of sages who lost their tapobal and who lost, and then they came down to, lost all their prowess and powers and so on and so forth. The Puranas are filled with such examples. Now, this goes to show that in Bhakti Yoga, why Bhakti Yoga is so powerful, because Lord is etching out the program for the devotee. And the Lord's plan, the best plan. There is no comparison. The Lord's plan, the best plan. Therefore, what is required on the part of the devotee is readiness to offer service to the Lord. Readiness to offer service. So this should be so faith-giving to us, in the sense that yes, in this process, the Lord is supremely active and supremely involved. Just because the devotee has agreed or accepted to depend on Krishna. Just because the devotee is ready to offer service to the Lord in any way possible, in any way the Lord inspires, in any way the Lord directs. And therefore the process becomes so we see, therefore, bhakti necessitates a humble disposition. Bhakti necessitates a malleable disposition. Because when there is humility, when there is malleability, then the Lord can make a very beautiful mold actually. But when there is resistance on the path of bhakti, so all these Mishra bhaktis, Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, that is like resistance on the path of, one is adding different levels of resistance. So yes, the mercy will come, but the mercy will come in a diminished fashion, or the mercy will come in a buffered fashion. By buffering the mercy, adding delays in the whole circuitry, or in the entire flow of bhakti actually. This is the point. And therefore what is required is sincerity on the path of a devotee. If one is sincere, the Lord guarantees everything. Sincerity on the path of the devotee. That the devotee is longing to serve Krishna, he is longing to meet Krishna. And yes, a devotee is telling the Lord that, oh Lord, I am yours, please engage me in your service. And the Lord says, yes, here is a plan for you now. And if the devotee just walks by the plan, then we see, then the devotee can experience immense and intense advancement. Because the Lord is involved, the process is going to work very fast. And the process is going to work in a very profound manner. It's not dry, it's not monotonous, it's not slow. It's very fast. It is phenomenal. It's unbelievable. That's how. So that's the point. That when the Lord shows His mercy, the Lord can be unbelievably merciful, actually. Immeasurably merciful. Because if one can measure how merciful is the Lord, then what kind of Lord is that? Because every vibhuti of the Lord stands extraordinary. Therefore, if the Lord displays law systems, that law system is going to be so intricate nobody can understand. That's exactly how karma system is. Because if He makes a system which people can understand, what kind of God is He? This is by definition. Whatever comes out of the Lord has to be unbelievable, mind-boggling, immeasurable. And therefore we just say inconceivable. So now inconceivable has a very interesting quality, or immeasurable has a very interesting quality. I mean, when it comes to the Supreme Lord, this vibhuti of inconceivability has a very interesting quality. The interesting quality is that one can use all one's measurements and experiments to measure and get convinced that he cannot measure. That inconceivability or immeasurability is not a confused state that, okay, we don't know what it is hazy, so we cannot measure. No, it's not like that. You can use everything and you will understand that whatever you have used is falling short to measure. To the maximum extents of the measurement scales, one will understand that I have just progressed an inch, whereas I have to progress the whole oceanic depths are still remaining to progress further. This is the point. This is the point. That is why it is a vibhuti of the Lord. It's not a confused and hazy state. It is a vibhuti of the Lord, actually. So when a devotee says, I cannot understand how merciful is the Lord, and when a materialist says, I cannot understand what's happening, there is an earth and sky of difference there. That's the difference between self-centeredness and God-centeredness, is it not? So when a materialist is saying, I really cannot, I really don't understand what's happening around, so that means he's completely confused, it's completely hazy, it's completely dark, and the person is not able to make sense of anything. All his algorithms have got frustrated, and now he doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's not able to make any sense of what's happening. That's materialistic vision. And when a devotee says that, yes, I don't understand how merciful is the Supreme Lord. So that means that he understands that the Lord is infinitely merciful, actually. And he has used all his measurements to get convinced about that fact. That's the point. That's the point. So therefore, this is, here we see the supreme mercy of the Supreme Lord. How merciful is the Supreme Lord? We cannot measure. We should measure. To understand, we cannot measure. This is what Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks. And what is the only qualification? Is to be engaged, is to be sincere. As Radhanath Maharaj coins it very precisely, to be sincere, serious, and without ulterior motives. Sincere. Sincerity means the state of that acute longing and desperation to progress or advance in Krishna consciousness, to please the Lord, to please the acharyas, to meet the Lord, to reach out to the Lord, to call out to the Lord. That's sincerity. Seriousness means the readiness to do anything for the sake of Krishna. Seriousness. And without ulterior motives means the alertness not to add contaminations in the path, not to create blockages and barricades in the path. That is without ulterior motives. So, if one is having that kind of disposition, then the Lord is revealing everything. So, not only the path is going to become clear, but everything is going to become clear. Everything is going to become lit, because the Lord is telling Jnana Deepena Bhashvataha. So yesterday, therefore, we were discussing about the point that if a person, and not just to contrast, if a sadhaka is etching out his own path and of how to progress, then what is going to happen is that a sadhaka may tend into extremes, and he may get hooked up and caught up in the secondary aspects, which may then start, instead of aiding, it may start obscuring the primary aspect of availability and malleability in service to Krishna. Now, but we see, but many of these traits are essential to aid in Krishna consciousness. So therefore, the question which comes is that yes, it is essential, but to aid in Krishna consciousness. So how does it happen? If one is simply chanting, how does it happen? If one is simply chanting, how does it happen? So therefore, Prabhupada was explaining in the previous purport, if you see, that the focus is maintained by the association of devotees and the spiritual master's instructions. So now that keeps a person holistic, that keeps a person, so in that way, one understands what to use when, what mixture or recipe to use for what stage of Krishna consciousness. So that's how it is. Now, Prabhupada goes further to explain that still, if one, in spite of the help being given, if one is not able to understand, the Lord will personally make him understand. So that is the punchline of bhakti. Actually, even if one is so dull, the Lord is going to personally make him understand. So here we are coming to the point that what's going to happen is that if one is just serving Krishna, one is just chanting, trying to serve Vaishnavas, trying to do anything which he understands is service to Krishna, which is being told, then what is going to happen is that whatever is needed for his progressive bhakti is going to be installed by the Lord. This is what the Lord is explaining now here. Whatever is needed for his bhakti to progress is going to be installed by the Lord. Jnana Deepena Bhashvata. So therefore, that one thing can lead to everything like that. And therefore, for a bhakta, renunciation, knowledge, austerities, penances, determination, and maybe even a whole set of opulences, all of that will automatically start manifesting in a devotee even without his extraneous focus and endeavors. Like that. That's why we understand that knowledge and renunciation are byproducts of bhakti. By default, it will get launched up. So that means if one chants, he has to be he will become renounced, and if one chants, he has to get knowledge. So one may say, oh, if you chant, how can you get knowledge by chanting? Yes, with chant you can get knowledge because the Lord is going to change the vision. With that vision, when you see everything, then you can see everything in reality and one can speak the Shastra Vakya because one can see the Shastra Vakya enacting out in the world. So, this is the point. This is amazing actually. And therefore now Srila Prabhupada is making the point here that many Mayavadis, they think that bhakti is a sentimental process. So first of all, bhakti is not a sentimental process. Many ways we can understand. Bhakti is not a sentimental process. Why? Because there is philosophy which backs up bhakti. In fact, the perfection of philosophy is perfect action. We can see in our world, what is the use of a theory or a formula or a theorem or a discovery or basically a formulation if it has no application? If a formula, if a theory has no application, what is the use of that theory? Why should one bang his head on that theory, is it not? That's the point, is it not? Any theory we talk about, like we talked about the principle of lazing, okay, lazing. So we can talk about the principle of lazing, but why is there talk about principle of lazing? Because it has applicability. It's used everywhere in any kind of industry, even biomedical, even surgeries, even it is used at nanoscales, it is used at kilo scales, it is used everywhere, and therefore the principle has some value, is it not? So suppose there is principle, no application, then nobody will be much bothered about it, is it not? It's just fairy tales then, is it not? So that means that action is the manifestation of the efficacy of a theory or a postulate or a vision. So similarly, philosophy, what is the use of a philosophy if it cannot bring about any change or transformation? So if there is no action, then what's the use of a vision, is it not? If there is no action, there is no, then what's the use of the vision? So this is where we understand that yes, in bhakti, the philosophy achieves its completion and perfect manifestation in the form of action. Sublime action. Simple but sublime actions. So in that sense also logically we can understand that whereas jnana may simply fluff in philosophies without any application or action, bhakti is the perfection of jnana. Why? Because that philosophy is not just subtle now, it has manifested grossly to display its radiance and efficacy to the world. That is bhakti. So this is by pure logic we can understand that bhakti is not a jambu mambo process. Nothing to do, so person was simply crying for nothing, now is crying for Krishna. No? That's not bhakti, Like Mahaprabhu's time, some criticizers, they used to make comment that these people are crying out holy name, their stomachs are hungry, they are not fed anything, and then they are crying out, like that. So it's not like that. Why? Because even logically we can understand. That's why Bhagavatam is a natural commentary to the Vedas, the Vedantas. So the perfection of Vedas is the blossoming of the activities of devotional service. That's the point. Now, the second aspect is what the Lord is, and Srila Prabhupada is revealing, the Lord is pointing out and Srila Prabhupada is explaining in great details. The second aspect is If we say, okay, even if one is so dull, even if one is just sitting and chanting Hare Krishna, what is going to happen to such a person? What is going to happen to such a person? So there also the Lord is explaining that yes, if one gives up everything, surrenders to me, if one exclusively make himself available for me, if one removes all inhibitions and hesitations and jumps to serve me, what is going to happen? Everything is going to happen, the Lord explains here. If one just chants, just by chanting Hare Krishna, one can get to know everything. Just by attending the morning program, one can get to know everything. One thing will lead to everything. Because Lord is the game changer. The Supreme Lord is the game changer. Therefore, Sharanagati is not a sign of weakness. Sharanagati is a trump card, one should understand. Depending on the Lord is not a sign of weakness. Okay, I am reduced so helpless that I cannot do anything. Therefore, I can now just sit and cry. No. That's a perverted understanding. Completely perverted and wrong understanding. Rather, crying out to the Supreme Lord is the most sublime and the best thing to do in one's life. Because if the Lord is activated, the Lord enters, then everything is done. And the Lord will supply every possible thing. So one cannot, so now this is the point, and therefore in bhakti, one thing can lead to everything. One just has to be sincere in trying. We see the examples. Bhagavatam itself gives the example of the classic Acharya, Srila Narada Muni. And Srila Narada Muni, as a 5-year-old Narada boy, was not knowing anything. All his world was his poor mother was just able to supply the bare possible means of clothing and eating in the simplest of living. But because of that mother's pure heart, the mother's devoted heart, she created an environment for Dhruva Maharaj. For Narada, the Narada boy. So she created an environment for Narada Muni to be able to get absorbed in bhakti. And here was Narada Muni, who was seeing his mother, and because of naturally being very affectionately attached to his mother, as a small child naturally is fully dependent on his mother. Wherever his mother's activities were flowing, Narada boy started flowing himself. So he started assisting his mother. So when he started assisting his mother in serving the Bhakti Vedantas, then the Narada boy started becoming attracted. The Jnana Deepena Bhashvataha. That is what started happening. And then Narada boy started hearing them. And then Narada boy was so attached that his world became the Bhakti Vedantas and what they are doing and the activities they are doing. That became his universe. So much so in that 4 months Narada Muni soaked so much. And he asked for their remnants, and they gave their remnants out of their supreme mercy. Just because he was a small child, they may not have minded much. Just because a very small child. And the Bhaktivedantas blessed him, and then the Bhaktivedantas left. And now you may say, oh, Narad Muni is a small sentimental boy, simply attached to 4 sadhus, just playing in the lap of the sadhus, All he had seen was his mother, now he saw 4 more people, So now we may say like that. But what is the proof that Narada Muni was not just sentimentally attached? What is the proof of Jnana Deepena Bhashvata? Yeah, when there was catastrophe, immediately following that was a catastrophe in Narada Muni's life. His coordinates were shattered. There was explosion in his life. His mother was gone. So first of all, a mother is a natural shelter for a small little child as Narada Muni. Then his mother was gone. And secondly, he was able to connect to the Bhaktivedanta through his mother. Because his mother started serving, she arranged, probably she would have invited, or because of her readiness to serve, he got that environment to connect. And now when this happened, Narad Muni could take it up. This is called as Narad Muni could take it up. He was not shattered, he was not lost. He did not land up being being a terrorist or being like some movies show, somebody is experiences that kind of catastrophe, village is devastated, he lands up being a big mafia fellow and all that, So Narada Muni became a Mahabhagavat. He understood, let me just, and therefore you see the sincerity of his heart, therefore he just started practicing whatever he learned from the Bhaktivedantas. So much so that the Supreme Lord appeared to him. And then the Lord said, okay, practice whole life, then I will appear again, second time, And Narada was a small boy. And then Narada Muni in that life perfected and he became the great Mahabhagavat Acharya. He was the most prominent Acharya in our Bharatvarsha, Srila Narada Muni. So we can understand that yes, the process of bhakti is not a sentimental process. That one thing can lead to everything, actually. So therefore, by service, by Sharanagati, the Lord reveals everything. There are innumerable examples of this, is it not? Innumerable examples of this. This is the power of bhakti, and therefore a sadhaka and therefore a sadhaka has to be convinced about this fact that if we just go on practicing whatever we know, there is sincerity and there is seriousness, and one is not allowing the ulterior motivations to creep in, then whatever is needed for us to know, the Lord will install.
So how do you actually define sincerity? What is the definition of sincerity? What is the word? Literal meaning and then what is the application?
So sincerity is defined as so you see the point, the sincerity means, sincerity leads to seriousness in that sense, is it not? Or sincerity and seriousness are two coupled up things which keep giving feedback to each other. But yes, the angle of sincerity is that, okay, this person is sincere. The sincerity has to do with longing, that desire. Prabhupada says, no, bhakti means being engaged in service with a longing to maintain Krishna. That longing that, yes, I want to progress, and therefore, let me apply, let me now keep working on it, sincere. And seriousness has to do with readiness to apply anything. Because if serious, then he doesn't mind molding himself. He doesn't mind to pay the price. Whatever price is asked of him, he's ready to pay. Serious about it. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Should I change? I'm ready to do any kind of service, ready to do anything. That's seriousness, is it not? He's serious, is it not? He doesn't want sincerity, seriousness. So that's how we can try to understand. So both of them are related to each other. But this is what it is. So therefore, if we don't take these two terms, and if we take sincerity as the generic one point term, and if you take that one word term, then sincerity means both these aspects. Sincerity means that longing, that acuteness. When one has that acuteness, one will not tolerate dilutions. No? When one has that desperation, then one just cannot sit down. One will sit down if one is not having that heart. Okay, one is going on, then one will say, okay, kitna jana hai, kuch baith jayenge aaram se, should we continue or not, maybe tomorrow we'll see, So that means he has not caught the rhythm. The rhythm is decided by the disposition of the heart, how much one is wanting, how much one is wanting to please the acharyas, how much one is wanting to serve. So that desire is creating that rhythm. And the malleability comes in the form of seriousness. So basically, therefore, sincerity means the desire and acuteness. Sincerity also means the malleability, the humble disposition. All three components will come in the generic one word sincerity. But if you want to go two words, then you can say sincerity and seriousness. Like that. It's just a little further explanation of that. But that one word can also capture everything. Sincerity, it means all three things: malleability, acute desire, humble disposition. So one is ready to learn, one is ready to follow, one is ready to apply, one is not gripping, one is not itching, no grip, no itch, just apply. Yes. Acute desire is developed. Acute desire is developed by the association of devotees and the spiritual masters. When we accept so acute desire is developed by association of the devotees. Acute desire is also developed by association with the Lord. If you push the iron in fire, the iron becomes fiery. Fiery means desperate. Like that. Fiery means desperate. The iron is put in fire, the iron becomes fiery. So fiery means that one cannot now sit quiet. That's the point. Therefore, yesterday we were touching on the life of Prabhupada. Now we can understand what state Prabhupada was in. Is it not? So it comes from that acute desperation, and in fact this is where we can understand that yes, so one may say, okay, Prabhupada was just chanting. He was not just chanting, That just chanting was, what was the power in that chanting? What was the purity in that chanting? That is exhibited when we see that despite all kinds of obstacles, what was Prabhupada's intensity of speed? So this is the power of bhakti. This is the power of bhakti. The simple activities have the most sublime power embedded in it because the Lord is personally present and the Lord is personally involved in bhakti, the Jnana Deepa and Bhaswata principle. And therefore, the point is that therefore in the process of bhakti is there is one can, so therefore in the process of bhakti one can find that irrefutable guarantee that one will not be lost. And that's why Srila Prabhupada speaks in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam that this process is so powerful that a crude man can be converted into a pure devotee. When one applies himself and makes the be all and end all of his life the teachings of the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavatas, then what is going to happen is a crude man is going to become a pure devotee. This is bhakti, this is the power, this is the supreme mercy, the supreme opportunity which is available for us. So in bhakti there is guarantee, and therefore the acharyas explain and the shastras are extolling at the top of their lungs and their heart that the process of bhakti, once begun, cannot stop, because so much mercy is available. Once begun, seriously, if one begins once, bhakti cannot stop. The process of bhakti cannot stop. So therefore it is explained. Therefore the acharyas explain, the acharyas are meditating on this supreme mercy. The acharyas in their ecstasy have explained to us so visually what is this process of bhakti, and therefore the acharyas explain that even if a devotee is completely blind, he does not know what to do, where to go, and he is simply blindly running in any direction, thinking that he is going towards Krishna or crying out for Krishna, he cannot meet an accident. He will straight land at the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is what is the technical explanation of that is what the Lord is explaining here. That yes, the Lord has made foolproof systems, there is association, there are Bhagavatas, and Bhagavatas were going to come in every generation. The Lord has that, so therefore in that association, one can get everything. But if one is so dull and so blind, dumb, deaf, that he still cannot understand, the Lord from within the heart is going to explain to him. The Lord is going to personally catch him by the hand and take him like that. All is required is that sincerity, that desperation, that yes, I want to attain the mercy, the favor of the Lord. I want to attain the favor of the Lord. So Acharyas explained to this extent that even if blindly one is running towards Krishna, one cannot fall. There is no possibility. How is it possible? Somebody can close his eyes and drive and reach from here to Calcutta? That's the best possible analogy which we can think of, to picturize, okay, that one has got blindfolded, he's sitting on a bike, he's got blindfolded himself, he doesn't have any indicators where to go, nobody's, even no sound also indicating, nothing, and he's driving on fifth gear, and he just drives and he happens to land in Calcutta, in our, at the lotus feet of Lord Gorchan Itaichan. Is it possible? This is the process of bhakti. It is possible like that. No, it is possible. This is the power which the Lord, this is the extent of the mercy which the Lord is embedding in the process of bhakti, like that. Obviously, a devotee is not childish. A devotee should not be foolish and childish. That aspect is there anyways. So this is applicable when whatever one is able to understand, one is understanding. And to the best of his understanding, he is executing his service. So whatever is blind, the Lord will make it up for that. This is applicable that time. So if it says that, okay, if one can blindly dash towards Krishna, then what is the need of spiritual master and association of devotees? So that becomes a very so that's the whole point. So that becomes so this is said of a person who is sincere. If you can understand something, why don't you apply that? Is it not? So whatever the Lord is giving, when one is accepting, and over and beyond that, when situations, that intensity of the situations and provocations and all that, then the Lord will help. But what He has given, if one doesn't take that also, then there is a error in Sharanagati, is it not? Then there is an error in the Sharanagati. So devotee should not be foolish, and therefore Puranas give that analogy also, that this fellow was sinking, there was this fellow sinking, crying out to God, right? So Puranas or devotees speak about this analogy. Yeah, this fellow sinking, crying out to God, and then somebody came in a boat and he said, "Please come." And then he said, "No, God is coming to help me out." And somebody came in a helicopter and all that. This fellow ultimately drowned and died. So the point is, the Lord came through all these means. Actually, one could not take benefit. So if one has taken benefit for whatever help comes, and then one needs any further direction, then the Lord from within is going to help out, like that. So this is the point. This is the point. So it's not that, so we need to, yes, definitely we need to, fully submerge ourselves in association of devotees, fully submerge ourselves in trying to understand the instructions, the life, the examples, the shastras, and now after our complete understanding, and not like that, after our complete endeavors, then what remains, then the Lord is going to fulfill that, nothing to worry. And if one is having such a great dullness that he is just not able to figure it out, that what needs to be done in his life, the Lord will step by step take him. One need not worry. So sincerity is the key. Sincerity, seriousness is the key actually, which the Lord is explaining, so such. Yes, sincerity means the readiness to follow everything. So sincerity means the acuteness, that one is not ready to dilute, one is not ready to sit down, one wants it, one wants to progress, one wants to serve, wants to please, then one cannot sit down, it's like one cannot, so that is one component. Other component, readiness to follow anything. There is no cribbing, no rebellion, no reluctance, it's just execution. That's sincerity. And that's why the Lord explains that in the previous verse. The Lord explains that. So 10 leads to 11. Satata yuktanam, the Lord explains that such a person, he is engaged always. And then the Lord gives revelation, satata yuktana. So the devotee is trying his complete, he is offering himself completely. Then, but that complete is always is going to be drastically incomplete. Therefore, the Lord, the Supreme Complete, makes everything complete like that. So the small completeness will attract the Supreme Complete to make the journey complete. That's how it happens actually. And this is the special vibhuti of Bhakti Yoga actually. This is the special vibhuti of Bhakti Yoga. So that's why this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Simply by chanting one can reach back to Godhead? Yes. Simply by attending morning program one can reach back to Godhead? Yes. Simply by cooking for the Vaishnavas one can lead back to Godhead? Yes. Simply by distributing Bhagavad Gita one can reach back to Godhead? Yes. Because one thing leads to everything. This is the power of bhakti. So we'll stop here. We'll continue again in our next class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.